Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the trailer that came out a couple of days ago for season 6 of Bosch. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. But obviously, we kind of get our first look at, what this case is going to be about. Like, what was it? Like a physicist or something ended up getting killed, and it leads to like some, like nuclear material being built, stolen, sorry. But obviously, they're all worried about like this could be potentially leading to a dirty bomb type of situation. I'm wondering, is it going to appear like it's something that like gravitas, or is it going to end up being like, oh, that's what it seems like it is, but it's going to be something completely different? I don't know. I'm curious to see, because I would have never expected them to kind of investigate a case like of something of that magnitude. Interesting enough, obviously we're bringing in the FBI, which obviously like Bosch hasn't crossed paths with the FBI since everything went down to season 4. Because there was that FBI agent he's talking to, which for one, it's like Bosch doesn't mesh well with other people who tell him what to do, kind of step on his territory, step on how he does what he does, So, I mean, to be fair, that kind of fits in a lot of, TV shows. I don't know why. I'm always a sucker for that type of thing of like, the FBI, thinking they can just run this. This is our investigation type of stuff. I always like that being kind of a thing. But nevertheless, and one of the FBI agents, she's like, I'm sorry what happened to her. And at first I was trying to figure out, I was like, because they cut to Maddie, but then it's like, oh, in the grand scheme of things, it took a little bit from us, probably referencing Eleanor, because she was an FBI agent. So that agent, she probably was either she knew Eleanor personally, or she was aware of Eleanor, just kind of like, I'm sorry about your loss and everything, So I thought that was, I was like, oh, I'm curious to see, like, because they're gonna, because they did set up some interesting things. Like obviously, Maddie saw that report last season about the dude that I forgot. He was like the dude who basically got sent back, but it turns out because like there's a corruption in the system, that in fact the matter is he was getting released and stuff like that. So I think that's probably going to be an element that kind of plays into it. I mean, this might ultimately end up tying back into that in some shape or form. We'll kind of have to, wait and see. But that's not obviously the only thing. We didn't really get too many hints of it, but let's not forget Vega and Pierce were investigating that crime that basically at the very end of the season they had to pull it off to someone else, because it's like the dismembered body parts they found had like an X on her hand. There was also that, like, and it's so interesting because, like, that was something brought up at the very beginning of the season of, like, oh, a killer with, like, a signature, and they obviously have to pass the investigation on, so I'm assuming that's going to circle back around this season, So another element to this as well is, Bosch investigating Daisy, Elizabeth, who he met last season, investigating her daughter's murder, so that's going to be kind of something he's doing, because he's hoping to at least give, Elizabeth some closure. Because I every time, I mean, this is just Bosch in general, but obviously, like, because of his situation with his mom is the reason why he kind of investigates cases the way he does. And I'm wondering, when he looks at Elizabeth, does he kind of see his mom, someone who's kind of struggling, I mean, I think it's just, but I think he's also coming from the perspective as a father, as a parent himself, of like, your child being your world, and if something happened to them, you don't know what you do, especially because Maddie's like the only thing in this world he really has, and he's the only thing in this world she really has, So I'm curious to kind of dive into, because we do see Elizabeth for a little bit in one of the shots. So another angle to this is everything with Jerry, because we see that obviously continuing his case from last season when he felt like obviously those 2 corrupt cops, and we don't know if that's as far as that's going to go, like the whole Gary situation. I'm wondering, is he going to work with Gary's dad, because Gary's dad was like, oh, I can help you out. I'm curious to see that. Because last time we checked, Jerry never told Bosch everything about it. His ex was telling him, like, no, you need to tell, Bosch about this. Don't go at this alone, Jerry. So I'm curious in that, because we don't know how much time frame has passed. Because usually in between seasons, it's usually maybe like a couple of months has passed. We'll kind of have to wait for the season to find out like how much time has passed. But we do see the dude that Jerry is trying to get to, but the guy is like protected, as Jerry kind of said in last season. So, and obviously the guy's kind of, taunting him, basically talking about like there's some people who are kind of ruled by their anger or something like that, which obviously Jerry is, because this is like he knows who this guy is, because he even said it himself. He was like, you're the guy that killed my mother's brother, his uncle. But it's like, no, and the guy kind of being a douche about it and just being like, no, that wasn't me, that was my father though. And it's just kind of like, so I'm curious to kind of see whether Jerry kind of goes Lone Ranger in this particular case, because it seems a bit like that, but maybe that's not the case. I didn't see hiding her hair on, but I'm curious about the whole barrel and crates and barrel situation. You know, just with everything with barrel last season, I'm curious to see what that kind of looks like. I don't know if there's going to be much to that. They'll probably just pop up, but it probably won't be to the extent. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they did. Another interesting element to consider too is, like, let's not forget Irving is running for mayor. Once again, depending on like the time frame and stuff like that, whether he's like literally in the middle of his campaign run while all this is going down, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm also curious too, like, it's probably not going to come back immediately, but there's the whole Christina situation of like her thinking Bosch is dirty and kind of blaming him for her not getting the promotion she wanted because of their complicated relationship. She was going, I'm going to do whatever it takes to kind of prove basically that you, the whole thing with the seahorse necklace last season. So I'm wondering, is she going to pop up, or that's probably not a storyline they're probably going to touch? They'll probably be like later down the line. But I'm wondering if there's going to be hints of it or not. Like I said, just a lot of that stuff kind of going through my mind. Especially too, because about, the lieutenant, like how her, she kind of got it, so it's like, oh, because basically there was that whole thing about like the multiple units, like homicide and another like unit kind of becoming one, and it would have been a situation where people would have lost their jobs and people, it would have just screwed things up. And basically she leaked it to Anderson last season about like some of the stuff, so that basically she kind of maneuvered it so that things wouldn't go down that route. So she kind of, things weren't going to go that direction, as Irving was saying, like, as long as I'm in this chair. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be any elements of that this season too. We'll ultimately have to wait and see. Obviously, these are some of the thoughts going through my head. I'd love to get to know your thoughts about the trailer in the comments down below. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good